The Discoverith colony world was quiet at night. The forest stretched like endless shadows beyond the human settlements, their branches moving in the wind, their leaves whispering secrets. Most colonists never entered the wild. They feared the beasts that hunted in the dark. They feared the things that did not fear them. But one human lived closer to the forest edge than the rest, a man forgotten by many, a worker who survived with his hands and his will. He gathered wood, hunted small prey, and fixed broken machines for scraps. He was not important, not a leader, not a soldier, just another human trying to live. But fate has strange ways, and on one night, fate came to him with a roar that split the silence. The sound tore through the forest, a cry of pain, deep and sharp, half roar and half scream. The human froze, his heart pounding. Every instinct told him to run, but something inside pulled him forward. Something older than fear, something called compassion. He took a torch and stepped into the trees, his boots crunching on the dirt, his breath loud in the stillness. The deeper he went, the louder the sound became, until he reached a clearing lit by moonlight. And there, he saw it. A massive beast lay on the ground, its body striped with strange markings that glowed faintly in the dark. Its fur shimmered like silver, its muscles powerful even in weakness, its claws sharp as blades. But its chest heaved with pain. Blood ran down its side, staining the earth. Its golden eyes burned with fury, yet also with fear. The human's legs trembled. He knew this was no ordinary creature. He had heard stories of beasts like this, killers of soldiers, hunters of hunters. If it rose, it could tear him apart in a breath. Yet it did not rise. It only growled weakly, its body refusing to obey its spirit. For a long moment, they stared at each other, man and beast, predator and prey. The human could have run, could have saved his life, could have left it to die, but instead, he stepped forward, slowly, carefully, his torch shaking in his hand. He whispered softly, as if the beast could understand. "Easy. I will not hurt you." The beast's growl deepened. Its claws scraped the ground. Its golden eyes locked on him. But it did not attack. It did not strike. It only watched, waiting, measuring the strange creature who dared to approach. The human knelt a few steps away, his heart still pounding, his eyes fixed on the wound. It was deep, burned by some weapon he did not recognize. The edges glowed faintly, as if the wound itself carried poison or energy. The human knew he had little, only cloth, water, and his will. But he also knew leaving it to die was something he could not do. He tore strips of his shirt, dipping them in water, moving closer inch by inch. The beast bared its fangs, its growl shaking the air. The human's voice stayed calm, soft, steady. "I know you hate me near you, but if I leave, you will not see another dawn." At last, he touched the wound, pressing the cloth against it. The beast roared in pain, its body twisting, its claws slashing the dirt beside him. The human did not run. He pressed harder, blood soaking into the cloth, his own hand shaking. The beast's golden eyes burned into him, testing him, searching him. Minutes stretched like hours. The human worked, binding the wound, cleaning it, whispering words he himself did not understand. The beast's growls weakened, its breathing slowed, its body trembling less. At last, it lowered its head to the ground, watching him with eyes no longer full of rage. It was not trust, not yet, but it was something close. The human sat back, his chest heaving, his hands stained with blood. He looked at the beast, and the beast looked at him. Neither spoke, neither moved. But something had begun in that silence. Something fragile, something dangerous, something powerful. The man smiled faintly, exhausted, his voice low. "You'll live, friend, at least for tonight." The beast blinked slowly, its tail twitching, its golden eyes never leaving him. And in that moment, under the silver light of the moon, a bond was born, a bond that would change his life. Though he did not yet know it, for the human had saved the beast. But he did not know the truth. He did not know that this was no wild creature, no nameless beast of the forest. It was the prized companion of the Baroness of the Empire, feared across the stars. and she would stop at nothing to find it. The night closed round them. The forest whispered with shadows, but at the heart of it, man and beast sat together, broken but alive. The first spark of a story that would shake empires had been lit, and all because a human, against all reason, chose kindness over fear. The act of kindness morning came slowly, gray light creeping through the trees. The human awoke stiff and sore, his back against the rough bark, his eyes heavy from little sleep. Beside him lay the beast, its breathing shallow but steady, its golden eyes half open, watching him in silence. He almost laughed at the thought. He had spent the night guarding a monster that could kill him in one strike. Yet here they were, alive together. The wound still burned on the beast's side, blood dried across its silver-striped fur. The human tore more cloth from his clothes, cleaning it again with water fetched from a stream. He moved slowly, every step cautious, every gesture measured. The beast growled low when he touched the wound, but it did not strike. It only endured. "You're stronger than me," the human whispered with a tired smile. "But right now, you need me more." His hands worked clumsily, but his will was steady. He washed the blood, pressed the cloth, tied the makeshift bandages with rope he carried from his hat. It was not the work of a doctor, not the skill of a healer, only the simple care of a man who refused to walk away. The beast's eyes softened, just a flicker, just for a breath. It licked the air as if tasting his scent, trying to understand this strange creature who did not run, who did not fear. The human sat back when he was done, wiping sweat from his face, his stomach empty, his hands trembling. He looked at the beast, his voice low. "You'll hate me for touching you, but you'll live another day." The day stretched on, the forest alive with distant cries of other creatures. The human hunted small game with his traps, returning with a rabbit-like animal. He roasted it over a small fire, the smell rising into the trees. The beast's head lifted, its golden eyes locked on the food, hunger flashing in its gaze. The human tore a piece of meat and tossed it gently toward the beast. It growled, sniffed, then snapped it up, swallowing with a sharp crunch. The human smiled faintly. "So, we can agree on one thing, food." He tossed another piece, and this time the growl was softer, almost curious. By evening, the beast had eaten half, the human the other half. They sat together by the fire, man and monster, the forest silent round them. The human whispered stories as he worked on the bandages, stories of earth, of wolves that hunted in packs, of men who fought impossible odds. He spoke not for the beast, but for himself. Yet still the creature listened, its ears twitching, its eyes never leaving him. Days passed, and the routine became a bond. Every morning the human cleaned the wound. Every evening he shared food. The beast stopped growling when he touched it, stopped baring its fangs when he came near. It even began to follow him, slow and limping, when he left the clearing to gather wood or water. The human laughed once, the sound echoing through the forest. If anyone saw this, they'd think I'd gone mad, walking with a beast at my side. But inside, a strange warmth grew, pride and fear mixing. He had turned a nightmare into a companion, though he still did not know the danger of what he had done, because far from the forest, beyond the colony walls, whispers spread. The Baroness of the Empire, ruler of the region, had sent out her soldiers, her prized beast, the terror of her court, the one symbol of her power, was missing. She swore that whoever had taken it, whoever had touched it, would pay with blood. Back in the forest, the human sat by the fire, watching the beast rest with its head near his feet. He reached out slowly, his fingers brushing the soft fur behind its ear. The beast growled once, low and warning, but then it lowered its head, accepting the touch. The human's heart raced, his voice a whisper. "You're not just a beast, are you?" The stars above shone bright. The fire crackled low. Man and creature sat together, two lives bound by chance. The human believed he had saved a wild animal, but the truth was waiting like a shadow. He had saved the beloved pet of the Baroness, and when she found out, no kindness, no bond, would protect him from her wrath. The Baroness learns for away from the quiet forest. Inside a palace of steel and fire, the Baroness sat upon her throne. Her court was silent, her soldiers knelt. Her eyes burned like twin blades of ice. For 3 days her prized beast had been missing, and with every hour her fury grew. No one dared to speak unless spoken to. No one dared to breathe too loud. The beast was not only her companion, it was her symbol, it was the terror of her enemies, the living banner of her strength. Every noble feared its roar. Every soldier dreamed of riding with it at their side. And now, without it, whispers had begun to creep into the halls. Whispers of weakness. The Baroness struck her staff against the floor, the sound echoing through the chamber. "Find it," she commanded, her voice sharp as fire. "Search the forests, search the colonies, burn them if you must." Her captains bowed low, fear trembling in their throats, and rushed to obey. Armored patrols spread like fire through the land, their eyes sharp, their weapons ready. At first, the soldiers found nothing, only broken branches, faint tracks, and whispers of strange sounds in the night. But then came the first report. A scout arrived breathless, bowing low. "My lady, there is talk among the settlers of a human at the edge of the colony, seen with a beast limping at his side." The chamber fell silent, every eye turning to the Baroness. Her lips curled into a sharp smile, not of joy, but of rage. "A human," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. "A human dares to touch what is mine." She rose from her throne, her cloak falling like a shadow behind her. "Bring me this creature of earth, alive or dead, I care not, but bring me back my beast." The soldiers scattered at her command, ships lifting into the sky, engines roaring across the colony skies. The settlers watched in fear as banners of the Baroness passed overhead. Whispers spread quickly. Someone has angered her. Someone has taken what she loves most. But none knew the truth, that it was not greed or theft, but a simple act of kindness that had sparked her fury. In the forest, the human had no knowledge of this storm. He sat by the fire, feeding the beast scraps of roasted meat. Smiling faintly at it rested its head near his knees. He felt pride, as if he had tamed the untamable, as if fate had rewarded his kindness. But fate is cruel and far above him. The Baroness's ships were already on the move. Her spies brought her more whispers, more fragments of truth. "The human tends its wounds," they reported. "The beast follows him like a shadow." As if loyal, the Baroness's fists clenched, her teeth grinding. "Impossible," she spat. "It obeys only me. It bows to no one else. No one." But in her heart, a shadow of doubt grew. She had trained the beast with fire and pain. She had forced its loyalty with chains and commands. Never had she shown it kindness. Never had she given it warmth. And now she feared that perhaps someone else had. The thought burned inside her, more painful than any wound. If her beast had chosen another, if it had turned its golden eyes to a human with trust, then her pride, her power, her throne itself was at risk. No empire could respect a ruler whose own symbol of power had betrayed her. And so her fury grew sharper, deadlier. Back in the forest, the beast stirred suddenly, lifting its head, its golden eyes watching the skies. The human frowned, sensing the change, the silence of the trees, the distant hum of engines. "What is it, friend?" he whispered, his hand brushing its fur. The beast growled low, not in pain, but in warning. Above the treetops, faint lights flickered, the first signs of the Baroness's patrols. The human did not know, but the beast did. It had once walked those halls of steel, once slept at the feet of the Baroness, once obeyed her whip. Now it growled at the scent of her soldiers, pressing closer to the human, as if to shield him. And so the storm drew nearer, unseen, but unstoppable. In the palace, the Baroness prepared her armor, her soldiers ready at her side. In the forest, the human tended to the beast, believing only in the bond of kindness, unaware of the empire that hunted him. 2 worlds, 2 hearts, bound by one creature, about to collide. The Baroness's voice rang out once more in her halls, cold and sharp. "If my beast has chosen another, then that human will learn what it means to defy me." Her soldiers roared in answer, ships taking flight, The hunt had begun, and soon, the human who had saved a life would face the wrath of a ruler who had never known mercy. The encounter forest was no longer quiet. The hum of engines cut through the night, sharp and merciless. Lights flickered between the trees, and the sound of metal boots crushed the soil. The beast lifted its head, its golden eyes glowing with unease, its body tense, its ears twitching to every sound. The human felt the vibration in the ground before he saw them, the approach of soldiers trained to kill. He whispered softly, his hand on the beast's fur, "Stay calm, friend." Though his heart beat like a drum, the beast growled low, not in rage, but in warning, a sound that carried through the forest like a storm waiting to break. And then, from the shadows, they came, the soldiers of the Baroness, armored in steel, their weapons glowing with cold fire. They spread in a wide arc, their eyes fixed on the clearing where man and beast stood. One stepped forward, his voice hard. "By order of the Baroness, return the beast you have stolen." The human blinked, confusion flashing in his eyes. "Stolen?" he repeated, his voice sharp with disbelief. "I found it wounded. I saved it. It is no one's but its own." The soldiers laughed, though their laughter carried no joy, only cruelty. "Foolish human," another sneered. "You touched what belongs to Our Lady. For that, you will be punished." The human felt the weight of their words, yet his hand remained steady on the beast. "I will not hand it over to chains," he said firmly. "Not after what it suffered." The air grew colder as the soldiers parted, and from between them stepped the Baroness herself, her cloak flowing like shadow, her eyes gleaming like fire. Her presence silenced the forest, her voice sharp as blades. "So, it is true," she said, her gaze cutting into him. "A human dared to lay hands on my beast." The human's throat tightened, but he did not step back. He stood his ground, though every instinct screamed at him to kneel. "It was dying," he said, his voice quiet but unyielding. "I could not leave it." The Baroness's lips curled in scorn. "You mistake mercy for weakness." "Human," she raised her hand, commanding the beast with a single sharp word. The soldiers straightened, expecting obedience, expecting the creature to rush to her side. But the beast did not move. Instead, it growled, lowering its head, its body pressed closer to the human, its golden eyes fixed on the Baroness with defiance. Gasps spread among the soldiers, whispers rushing like wind through their ranks. The Baroness's face hardened, her pride cracking at the sight. "No," she hissed, her voice trembling with fury. "It belongs to me. It has always belonged to me." She stepped forward, her command sharper, louder. But still the beast did not obey. The human felt the creature's body tremble, not with fear, but with choice. And in that moment, he understood. It had chosen him, not by force, not by command, but by the bond of kindness. His chest tightened, his voice steady as he spoke. "It is not yours anymore." The Baroness's soldiers raised their weapons, but the beast moved first. It stepped in front of the human, its growl turning into a roar that shook the ground. The soldiers faltered, unsure, their fingers trembling on their triggers. Never before had they seen the beast protect another. Never before had it defied the Baroness. The Baroness's eyes narrowed, her fury burning hotter than fire. She pointed at the human, her voice cold as death. "Then you will die with it." The soldiers raised their rifles, their aim sharp, their loyalty unquestioning, but none dared fire first, for the beast stood ready, its claws digging into the soil, its roar promising death to any who stepped closer. The clearing froze, man, beast, and queen locked in a circle of defiance and pride. The human's hand rested on the beast's back, his breath steady despite the storm round him. He had not meant to stand against an empire, yet here he was, one human against the Baroness and her army. And the beast, once her symbol of power, now stood beside him. The Baroness clenched her fist, her pride torn between rage and disbelief. How could a human, a slave in her eyes, command what she had ruled with fear? Her voice broke the silence, sharp and bitter. "This is not over, human. I will take back what is mine, even if I must tear it from your corpse." But deep inside, behind her fury, a shadow of fear grew. not fear of the human strength, but fear of the truth the beast had chosen, and its choice had shaken her throne more than any army could. The truth revealed the clearing remained frozen in silence. The beast stood firm before the human, its golden eyes burning with warning, its claws digging deep into the earth. The Baroness's soldiers did not fire, their courage shaken, their hands trembling on their weapons. Never before had they seen such defiance. Never before had they seen the beast protect anyone but her. The Baroness's breath came heavy, her eyes sharp as knives. She stepped closer, her cloak dragging through the dirt, her voice sharp and bitter. "You dare to defy me," she hissed at the beast, "after all I gave you, after all I made you." But the beast only growled, pressing its body closer to the human. Refusing her call, the human's heart pounded, yet he did not move. He stood tall, though every instinct told him to run. His hand rested gently on the beast's neck, studying it, studying himself. "She did not give you anything," he whispered to the creature. "She only chained you. But I freed you." The Baroness heard his words. Her fury deepened, her pride burned. "You speak as though you know it, human," she spat. "But you know nothing." Her soldiers looked between her and the beast, unease spreading like fire, for they too began to wonder, how could a human stand here, alive, protected by the monster they feared most? The Baroness's voice rose, commanding, "Attack him," she ordered the beast, her hand raised high, her tone sharp with authority. The soldiers straightened, waiting for the strike they had seen countless times before, but the beast did not move. Instead, it lowered its head and pressed against the human's chest. A gesture of loyalty, of trust. The soldiers gasped, whispers rushing through the ranks. "Impossible," one muttered. "It bows to him." Another whispered, "Not to her." The Baroness's face twisted with rage, her pride shattering in the eyes of her army. Her voice shook as she demanded, "What did you do to it?" The human looked at her, his words simple, clear, unshaken. "I did nothing but show kindness," he said. "It was wounded, I healed it. It was hungry, I fed it. I gave it nothing but care." The Baroness's breath caught, her fury turning into disbelief. "Kindness," she repeated, the word like poison on her tongue. She had ruled with fear, with chains, with blood, never with kindness, never with trust. Her beast had obeyed her commands, yes, but it had never looked at her as it looked now at the human, not with fear, not with submission, but with loyalty freely given. The soldiers whispered louder now, doubts spreading like cracks in stone. They had seen the beast's fury on the battlefield. They had seen it crush enemies with savage force. But now they saw it bow its head to a human, a simple worker, not a soldier, not a king. And they began to wonder if perhaps true strength was not in chains, but in the heart. The Baroness's pride screamed within her, yet her voice faltered. "You stole it," she growled weakly, though the truth trembled in her heart. The human shook his head, his eyes steady. "No, Baroness," he said softly, "I did not steal it. It chose me." The words struck like lightning. The beast's golden eyes gleamed brighter, its body firm at his side. It had chosen, not with fear, not with force, but with trust, and in that choice, the Baroness saw a truth she had never wished to face. Her beast had never been hers, not truly. It had obeyed her out of survival, out of fear of the whip and the chain. But in the hands of a human, it had found something she could never give, a bond born from compassion, not command. The silence of the clearing was heavy. Her soldiers shifted uneasily, their eyes no longer fully hers. If even her beast could turn against her, what else might follow? The Baroness clenched her fists, her voice trembling with both fury and fear. "This is not the end," she said coldly, her gaze locked on the human. "You may think you have won its loyalty, but you will not keep it, and you will not keep your life." She turned sharply, her soldiers hesitating before following. The clearing was left in silence once more. The human breathed deeply, relief washing over him, his hand stroking the beast's neck. He looked into its golden eyes, whispering softly, "You chose me, didn't you?" The beast blinked slowly, its growl fading into a rumble almost like a purr. And in that moment, the truth was clear. The Baroness had lost more than her beast. She had lost her pride, her symbol, her control. The galaxy would whisper of this day, the day her own power bowed to a human's kindness. And though she swore vengeance, though she swore to take back what was hers, deep inside she knew the truth could never be erased. The beast had chosen, and it had not chosen her. Asterisk, the test of loyalty. The Baroness did not sleep that night. Her pride burned like fire. Her throne felt heavy beneath her, and her soldiers dared not speak. The image haunted her. Her beast standing before a human, defying her command, choosing another over her. It was not just disobedience, it was humiliation, a wound deeper than any blade. She summoned her captains at dawn, her voice sharp as steel. "The creature is confused," she said coldly. "It has forgotten its place. I will remind it." Her soldiers bowed, but in their eyes was unease, doubt that she could not ignore. Whispers had already begun, whispers that the beast had chosen a human, whispers that even the Baroness could be defied. She could not allow it. She would crush the rumor, crush the human, and prove that her beast was still hers. A trap was set in the valley near the forest, wide and open, with her soldiers hidden in the cliffs. She sent word to the colonies, word that the Baroness herself would test the loyalty of her beast before all who watched. The human, unaware of the trap, still walked with the beast at his side. The creature's wounds had healed under his care, its body strong again, its golden eyes bright with life. It followed him with quiet steps, never straying, never leaving. And though he did not admit it aloud, he had begun to trust it as much as it trusted him. When the summons came, he felt the weight of danger. The Baroness's soldiers demanded he appear before her. The beast at his side, he could have refused. He could have fled deeper into the forest. But the beast growled low, as if telling him there was no escape, as if telling him the choice must be faced. The valley was silent when they arrived. The Baroness stood tall upon the rocks, her cloak flowing, her eyes cold as the void. Her soldiers lined the cliffs, weapons ready, their faces pale with tension. And in the center of it all, the human and the beast stood side by side. The Baroness's voice cut through the air, sharp and merciless. "Beast," she commanded, her hand raised. "Attack him, tear him apart, prove your loyalty to me." Her soldiers leaned forward, waiting, their breath held. But the beast did not move, its golden eyes locked on the human, its body still, its growl low but steady. The human placed his hand on its fur, his voice calm. "It's all right. I'm here." The Baroness's face twisted with fury. Again, she roared, her voice trembling with rage. "Attack him now, or you will suffer." The beast snarled, its claws scraping the ground. But still it did not strike. Instead, it stepped in front of the human, shielding him with its massive body. Gasps spread through the soldiers, whispers rushing like fire through dry grass. The unthinkable had happened. The beast had rejected her command a second time. The Baroness's pride shattered, her voice sharp with desperation. "Do you not remember, creature, who raised you, who fed you, who made you strong?" The human's voice rose, steady and firm. "You never gave it love," he said. "Only chains, only fear. And now it has chosen differently." The Baroness's soldiers shifted uneasily, some lowering their weapons, some looking away. They saw truth in his words, truth they could not deny. For the beast's loyalty to the human was not forced, not chained, but freely given, and no amount of fear could undo it. The Baroness screamed in rage, her hand cutting through the air. "Then both of you will die," she spat, her soldiers raising their weapons once more. But before they could fire, the beast roared, a roar that shook the valley, a roar that echoed like thunder. The ground itself trembled as it charged, claws tearing into stone, eyes blazing with fury. The soldiers faltered, their aim broken, their courage shattered. The human stood behind the beast, his voice steady. "We stand together." And in that moment, the bond was tested in fire and blood, not with words, not with chains, but with choice. The beast struck down the first wave of soldiers with savage power. The human fought with what little he had, throwing stones, using broken weapons from the ground. They fought not as master and beast, but as allies, as partners. And every soldier who watched knew this was no accident, no trick. It was truth. The Baroness stood frozen, her heart a storm of fury and fear. She had lost control, lost her beast, lost the obedience she had built on fear. Before her eyes, a human had achieved what her throne could not. True loyalty. When the dust settled, when the soldiers stepped back in fear, the beast stood tall at the human's side. Blood stained its claws, fire burned in its eyes, but its body was steady, proud, unbroken. The human's hand rested gently on its neck, his voice calm. "You chose," he whispered, "and I chose you too." The valley was silent, but the truth had already spread. The beast had passed the test, and in doing so, had broken the pride of the Baroness. Her fury could not hide the fear in her eyes, for she knew what everyone now whispered. The beast was no longer hers. It had chosen the human. The newborn valley was silent after the battle. Smoke curled in the air. The ground was scarred with claw marks and broken weapons, and the echo of the beast's roar still hung above the cliffs. The Baroness stood frozen on the rocks, her eyes wide with fury and disbelief. Her soldiers lowered their weapons, fear clouding their loyalty, doubt creeping into their hearts. The beast stood beside the human, its golden eyes glowing like fire, its chest rising and falling with steady strength. Its body bore wounds, but its spirit was unbroken, and in that moment, everyone who watched knew the truth. It had chosen its master, and it was not the Baroness. The human stroked the beast's fur, his voice calm despite the storm around him. "You're safe," he whispered. "I won't leave you." The beast lowered its head, pressing against him with trust that no chain could command. It was no longer just a rescued creature. It was a companion, an ally, a friend. The Baroness's voice finally broke the silence, trembling with pride and rage. "This is treachery," she spat. "This is betrayal. My beast has been stolen, and my empire mocked." But her words carried little weight, for her soldiers had seen the truth with their own eyes. No one could command loyalty like that, not even her. She raised her staff, but no soldier moved to follow. They shifted uneasily, their eyes avoiding hers, their loyalty cracking under the weight of doubt. For if her beast had abandoned her, what did that say about her power? If a human could inspire trust where she had only sown fear, what did that say about her throne? The human met her gaze, his voice steady, clear, unshaken. "I did not steal your beast," he said. "I only helped it when it was in pain, and it chose me." His words echoed across the valley, simple and undeniable. The soldiers whispered them to one another, and in their hearts, they felt the truth. The Baroness's lips tightened, her pride refusing to break. "You may think you have won," she said coldly, "but you will learn what it means to defy me." She turned sharply, her cloak snapping in the wind, and her soldiers followed. Though many looked back with uneasy eyes, her fury burned, but her power had cracked, and she knew it. When the valley emptied, only the human and the beast remained. The man sat on the ground, exhaustion weighing heavy on his shoulders. The beast lay beside him, its golden eyes softer now, no longer the eyes of a weapon, but of a companion. Together they breathed in silence, bound not by chains, but by choice. In the days that followed, stories spread across the colonies. Stories of a human who had healed the beast feared by all. Stories of how it had defied the Baroness herself, standing at his side. And with every retelling, the legend grew. The settlers whispered in awe. If a human's kindness can tame the Baroness's beast, what else might they do? The soldiers whispered in doubt. If her own pet could abandon her, can her throne be trusted? And across the stars, the name of the human began to rise, not as a king, not as a warrior, but as something greater, a reminder that humans were not weak, not fragile, but special. The beast walked beside him now wherever he went, in the forests, in the villages, even in the open fields. Children laughed when they saw it bow its massive head to let them touch its fur. Elders whispered blessings, when they saw the humans come and study it. The human himself did not seek power, did not seek fame. He only lived as he always had, simple, quiet, honest. But now he was never alone, for the beast's loyalty was his, unbreakable, and together they had become a symbol. Far away, the Baroness sat in her throne of steel, her pride broken though her fury burned. She plotted vengeance, swearing she would one day reclaim what was hers. But deep inside she feared the truth she could not erase. That loyalty born of kindness was stronger than any forged in fear. And so the legend of the new bond spread, the tale of a beast once chained, now free, standing beside a human who chose compassion over fear. The tale of a human who stood against an empire not with armies, but with kindness. And the tale of a ruler whose pride cracked because she could never understand that simple truth. The galaxy would not forget the human who found an injured beast and saved it, not knowing it was the pet of the Baroness. The human who faced wrath and fire, and won not with power, but with trust. A new bond was forged that day, and it would echo across the stars, for in the end, the beast did not choose the Baroness, it chose the human, and that choice changed everything. Asterisk.